Well, hello, everybody. I hope you're all doing well today. I kind of got my summery look on today, a little bit lighter, kind of feeling the summer. It's beautiful up here in Minnesota, and it's going to be Memorial Day weekend. I hope you guys have great plans for the weekend. I'm Tom Kuhn. If you haven't met me by now, you're meeting me now. I'm your host and curator of the Roundtables, as well as the Qnity founder. Our theme is money isn't the most important thing in life, but it is like oxygen on the gotta have it scale. And we know times are always crazy when it comes to money. So this is about issues and opportunities to really help you navigate your way as a small business owner, manager, leader. And one of the new phrases that's top of mind for me is and one of the motivations for bringing this group together is to really identify what we'll call early stage trends. And I totally believe that this roundtable has kept us at the cutting edge of early stage trends, as we've heard from Brain Trust members. So anyway, this is sponsored by Qnity. We like to take things that are complicated, confusing, and overwhelming and give you a more clear path to prosperity. We lean heavily on these roundtables with what we call our Brain Trust. These are just a few of our past and current members of the Drain Trust. Maybe we drain them after these calls. I don't know. I think people actually like being Brain Trust members. To Leon and Rowena, I think you'll see that. We have a great group of people that have contributed. Thank you. Several of you have been multiple guests. What we're looking for today, and a little different, little request for the format today. When you have a light bulb moment, all right, because of something Leon said, Rowena said, or a colleague said, then say that's a light bulb moment. All right, light bulb moment. You can use that in the chat as we go through this. Last week's one of many light bulb moments from last week was from Candace Gliotto, who talked about financial incentives in recruitment. They used to be talking about financial incentives. Now they're talking about scheduling incentives to drive sales. A bit of a shift there. Candace is one of our educators. She's also a salon owner out in the Bay Area. Thank you, Candace, for that. I don't know if you're up early with us. Today we have Rowena Yeager joining us. She'll be on just in a moment from Studio Wish. Many of you may have had the great pleasure, like I have, in having met Rowena. She is just a wealth of information, knowledge, and energy, and we all love you, Rowena. We'll get you on in a moment. We also have Leon Alexander. Leon, I could say you're an old friend, not because you're an old guy, because you're not an old guy, but that we've known each other for many years, and I've appreciated our friendship and all the great work that you do. So with these two mega, what do I call them? They're very much out in the community these days, as usual, in Clubhouse, etc. And I thought we'd bring them in to talk about innovation. They both have some great ideas. We'll get to that in a moment. Past recordings of these sessions are on the Plan for Profits portal if you're in that program. Otherwise, we started putting them on YouTube. I don't know why I'm gasping for breath already. Maybe it's just because I'm so excited to talk to our guests. We do have some great sponsors here. Oh, I shouldn't skip over Aura and Vish. They both did great educational sessions on technology, how that relates to financial success. We have Qnity's award-winning 9 grid that you should have gotten when you enrolled for the session today. You can print it out and do some mind maps of your light bulb moments. All right, we have started to do polling in these sessions, and let's review some of the polls from last week. And this was really related to some of the topics we talked last week, but if you missed last week, or even if you were on last week, just to recap, 67% of you believe there's a ceiling for your top people. And that once you get to master, it's like there's no what's next, other than maybe just minor tweaks, but not something that's transformational. Part of my reason for asking that question is I'm working with a lot of businesses right now to shatter that ceiling, to look at what some might call a partner, Master Plus program, partner program, level 8. But the trend here is to really look at what a potential future looks like. In certain cases, that might lead all the way to equity, which might scare the hell out of you, but you know, there is a ceiling. 80% rate their employee experience at a 3 or a 4. It'd be interesting to have the employees rate their experience and see if there's a gap between the leaders. Self-rating is always a little difficult. We do have a conflict, don't we? 90% of you believe a labor shortage is the biggest challenge facing our industry right now. 2/3 of you believe you do a good job of selling your company's opportunities, what you provide in terms of tangible and non-tangible benefits of working there. And then the last thing is 2/3 of you say service providers are the most difficult role to fill right now. We've got some more surveys today. In fact, Michelle, why don't we bring up a survey? I want to get into the function of finance for a little bit before we invite our guests to speak here. So Michelle, all right, so let me put this in context. We do have a poll that popped up here, okay? And it's about the role of CFO. Now, you don't have to be a CFO to be serving in that role as the chief financial officer. So who is in that role? Are you as the owner, as a manager? Do you outsource? So let's do a little bit of a questions here, and this will relate to some articles and some things I want to share with you today. So question, let's try to get as many of you to figure out or to answer this question about the finance function. And then I'm going to go through some just nuggets on the finance function before we get to Leon and Rowena. So, all right, so what do we got here? So it looks to me it's pretty well split between in-house, outsourced, and owner fill in the role, with the tally now going to more of the owner fill in the role. So half of you are saying that the owner actually wears that hat too. Not unusual in a small business, in a micro business. Micro business is under 5 million. Not unusual to wear that hat. All right, next thing, have you proactively upgraded your finance function over the last year? And most of you say yes to that. So, all right, Michelle, leave this open just a little bit longer. And let me give you guys just a quick little nugget. One of the things we do every week is we do research before the roundtable, and I like to share with you things that are going on in the world. And there's an article that caught our attention. It had to do with the CFO's role in capability building, and about organization. And this is actually by McKinsey, fancy consulting firm, isn't it? All right, but this it's very trend oriented. So organizations developing new skills for the next normal. We can't forget about the finance leader who's uniquely suited to provide the necessary combination of insights. Now, as a person that's onboarded financial professionals in the financial professionals into the beauty industry for a long time, I know that there certainly is an opportunity for to set up finance officers in the business a little bit better. Now, a few different things here. Observations from this article: CFO and financial professionals usually are underdeveloped and underutilized. They tend to be the ones that are last to get continuing education. There's also a growing importance in this area. And also there's a lot of volatility in the skills that are needed by whoever the finance officer is. If it's the 57% of you, a lot of this maybe I'm talking to you about here. So, you know, capabilities of the CFOs mean just continual education, and then also about making sure that whoever, when you're wearing that CFO hat, that you have enough space to play in that role. I mean, that you're continually getting upgraded. Now, some interesting things that I can very much relate with, and this has to do with, this is actionable. Employees across organizations often use the same terms to mean different things. I deal with this every day. Profit, for example, can refer to profit dollars, profit per unit, profit margins, or even gross margin. If you look at a P&L, I usually recommend 3 profit lines. Costs can mean overhead, making investments, even capital. And so there's a lot of confusion in word use as it relates to finance and businesses. So it's really making sure that if you are filling this role, owner, make sure that the terminology is consistent with you and your outside financial professionals, if you're using a CPA, for example, or if you're actually working with your leadership team on the finances. So I feel like the whole CFO thing is something I want to get deeper into. And we do have some CFOs that are going to be part of a future session. I'm interested in some of your thoughts about this. But bottom line is, some of this is about amplifying the voice of the finance officer. We work with a lot of multi-location businesses, and a lot of times the finance officer is actually not involved in decisions that affect all the other functions of the business, and they come in too late So very much an advocate for making sure that the finance function has a pretty active seat at the table. And in many cases, the weakness of an in-house financial professional has more to do with communication skills than knowledge. So anyway, just a few things about that. Again, we follow the 5 functions here at Qnity. So those are a few things about finance. And so we'll get more into CFO skills. And if you're the in-house CFO, and you're also the owner and you're behind the chair doing all these other things, we'll make this a little more approachable for you in the future. All right, there we go. So I am going to take this off, and Rowena, let's have you come off the mic, okay?
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. I decided to take you outside with me. My cleaning lady's in the house cleaning away, so it was a little bit on the loud side. So I thought we'll move to my front yard. So hopefully you can hear me okay through the wind.
We can hear you loud and clear. And you know, certain people will pay big bucks to get that wind blowing through your hair like that. So that's awesome. You've got some
Without
fans.
a blow dryer, nature.
So your name came up in terms of a guest, and I'm like, yeah, for sure. Would definitely love to have Rowena as a guest. So let's do just a quick and down and dirty. You're based in Ohio. You have a single salon. So give it to us in like 30 seconds, who you are, your business, and all of that.
Great. So my name is obviously Rowena Yeager. I've had my salon for 20 years. I've been a hairdresser for 34 years. I do still work very part-time behind the chair. I enjoy coaching my team. I enjoy connecting with my clients in my community. And I love what I do every single day. So I don't work a day in my life, but I do work a day in my life. So, but I love it.
You know, I was, I've known you for years, and I've always had a chance to, you always bring joy when your name comes up or I see you, and getting the chance to spend some time with you one-on-one, as we've talked about today. And I was kind of blown away with some of the things that you're thinking about and talking about. And, you know, a few of them, so I'm going to outline a few of them. And Leon, I might bring in a little bit earlier because we're going to overlap some of these topics here. And I think the theme is really about innovation, and it's pragmatic innovation, you know, starting with stuff like the front desk and moving more to being deskless. Then the Amazon model. You and Leon have a lot of insights on the Amazon model. So why don't we go first to the whole idea of the front desk and technology and some of the things that you're doing, you're seeing, and maybe what I'll do is at the end of your response, I'll invite Leon in and we'll do this more of a trio, okay?
Sounds like a plan. Yeah, I think, you know, I've really enjoyed getting to know Leon. We've been in and out of clubhouses, really doing a lot of research, but also sharing a knowledge of what we've gathered and what we've found. And I've hosted a few rooms in regards to deskless. And of course, that captures an audience very quickly, because the first thing people go to is, how the hell do you run a desk without having a desk and a person there? And it's not about being personless. It's about repurposing that position so that it better suits your business and it helps your business actually grow. So we actually have what we call a hair traffic controller, versus having somebody that is a receptionist that only answers the phone, books appointments, et cetera, that there's more responsibilities around that position. So first and foremost, the whole deskless conversation started with my friend Jen and I, who was also already deskless. And then we've kind of brought Leon into the conversations to really gain a little bit more knowledge around understanding what we don't know. Because if we seek to understand first, before seeking to be understood, we grow. So I like having the open mind around technology and just growing in that aspect of what's next.
So there's different extremes when it comes to desk. I mean, it could be fully staffed, very little, very, very high touch, you know, an appropriate use of technology, but nothing like over the top. I mean, just basic technology. And then there's the whole extreme that has like no one at the front desk. Where are you in the bandwidth?
I would say currently, because I have not gone deskless yet, I would say that I'm kind of in the middle.
Okay. All right, great. And kind of in the middle, has that resulted in a certain metrics that have moved in your favor, whether it's customer service or lower desk hours, lower desk payroll?
I would say that it's moved into my favor of being able to have control over how my clients like to be touched, in what ways they want to be approached. They don't want to stand in lines at a front desk. They don't want to be on hold on the phone trying to schedule an appointment. That's why we have online booking. We're in the process of capturing every single credit card right now through our system, so that when we are ringing a guest out, they don't even have to hand us the card. We literally can just go ahead and ring them out. The thought is that we won't have high retail sales because of that. But the reality is, if you train your team that they're already talking about retail at the chair, that's where the magic happens. Magic doesn't happen at the front desk with retail. Magic doesn't happen with pre-booking at the front desk. We've thought that it has, and we've always thought that that's where it needs to go. But the responsibility should be on myself as a service provider, taking care of my client. And it happens during conversation.
I love it. All right. So Leon, let's bring you in here. Why don't you come off mute there, my friend, and we'll do an introduction to you, and we'll lobby back and forth. Hi, Leon. Good morning.
Good morning to you both, and Rowena.
We have you join us from the Sarasota area. Is that correct?
Sarasota, Florida. Yes, sunny 11 months of the year.
I love it. Well, Leon, a little bit about you and your business. I know that you are the go-to as it relates to, I won't do it just because your use of words sometimes is a little bit, I would use the word that you deal with the interiors of space and the different things that relates with the interior of space, keeping in mind just not the design and the aesthetics, but actually performance and flow, bringing innovation into it. Did I do okay with that?
You did. I would add a slight element to that historically we've designed space around a service business, but the future and today is designing it around the emotions of the consumer, accommodating the functionality of service. It's a paradigm shift because this is going to be consumer-centric led. So when you're designing a space, you're designing it to capture the millennials, the XYZs, how they buy, how they think, how they walk. And that really is the vision. The other aspect is to elevate the thinking of the industry that people don't own a salon. They own a business that happens to be in the beauty industry. And if you accept that, then you have to implement the best business practices of serious business owners in services, marketing, retail outside the beauty industry, because it's the same consumer.
Right.
So that in essence is what we are at the macro of what we're trying to do.
So Leon, let's piggyback on what we heard from Rowena so far on the desk. Take a couple minutes, and we'll go back and forth here a little bit, you, me, and Rowena, on the whole concept of the front desk.
So one of the things I love having a conversation with Rowena is because she gets it. She understands this is a consumer-led business. She thinks to the future, and she thinks from a business point of view. And I think we have to think from the consumer's perspective. When you think of deskless, this is not a new concept. A lot of salons in Europe are deskless. The best analogy I would give you is when you go to a hotel, you check in, you could even check in online. You don't need to go to the desk. If you use something from the minibar, it gets charged to your card and you walk out. So it's less friction. Now, this was designed pre-COVID, but it's even more apparent to have less friction now. So fundamentally, what we're trying to do is to elevate the experience. And Rowena's right, she called it a name. You're repositioning people. I call it take away the front desk person and have a concierge. Hair traffic controller works very well as well. Whichever we want to call it, the function is to elevate the personal experience of the consumer from a generic one to a personal one. And that hair traffic controller or concierge is there to make sure they give a personal experience to that consumer right the way from the front to the back, and they connect. It's not about communicating, it's about connecting with people so that they get that personalized experience.
So Rowena, back to you for a moment here now. So I think what Leon said was so spot on. And one of the things, the joy of having these live conversations, my curiosity starts going crazy here. And I start to have my own insights. And one insight I just picked up from Leon here was that, yeah, the deskless isn't new or, changing or always looking at the function. I think what's new is we had this thing called a pandemic, and it actually has been an accelerator. And the whole touchless piece came out of left field. So Rowena, back to you here. The pandemic certainly has accelerated some of these things, right?
Absolutely. And, I really honestly look at the time that we were shut down as an amazing gift, because how often does a business owner that's running all the time, all of a sudden get told, you got to stop. You literally have to stop. It gave me the opportunity to reinvent my brand. I have completely changed our logo. We're in the process of completely changing our website. And now we're at the point where we're looking at what's the visual, what's the client experience going to look like as we shift into this new image of what Studio Wish is. And, just to, tag on to what Leon said, it is about the consumer. It's about our customer. And I messaged him last week that I had a client that decided to be brutally honest with me about things that would cause her to leave a salon or create her a position where she would want to stay. First off, she loves having a conversation with me. She loves that we talk future. She's into tech. She's into writing programs. So it's right up her alley. The other things that she mentioned was actually her comfort while she's in the salon. She doesn't want to be cold in the salon. So she's like, can't you make a chair that heats up? So of course, I throw that to Leon. We need to find a chair in the salon that heats up, because how many times do we have clients complain that they're cold? When we hear a complaint, we need to shift that complaint to an opportunity to really shift and change where we're going, because they aren't complaining to complain. They're complaining because they want to see change. It's our opportunity to see it as a change and then make that adjustment.
So this is a gritty group. They love to have like tangible, like nuggets, things that they can do. And it is a financial roundtable, and we can look at this two different ways: money in, which is better customer service, better experience, more money in, or we can look at it just from a strict operating cost. So let's go to that gritty part of my brain as it relates to how can we save money at the desk?
How could we save money at the desk?
Yeah.
Well, I think first of all, you create a bigger space or a more open space that you can do something else in that space. And something else Leon and I have been discussing is we can get very pigeonholed and tunnel visioned into the thought process of, I do hair, I do facials, I do massage, I do nails. There's a difference in looking at what are the high ticket items that we may be missing and repurpose that space within your business so that you're bringing in a bigger ticket item, I think is where the real key is. And then my other thought process is, what are those key things that we could do that don't require a service provider? What are the other services that I could provide? A room for my client, what would they do in that room that doesn't require a service provider that would generate income for my business? So that's kind of where my mind keeps going, is repurposing the space.
Yeah. So it's more on the money inside. It's more on the revenue side, it sounds like. Leon, over to you here. Where's there opportunities to actually save money at the desk, as opposed to desk being a strategy for greater revenue or mix between service and retail? Are there tangible things that people can do in this process of looking at the role of the front desk, and so it'll actually will affect a P&L on the money outside, labor?
Yeah. Well, repurposing someone's function doesn't actually save money, but it can make more experience. So to me, the whole point is to create a bigger margin and bigger profitability, which every salon would want to go to. So instead of looking at our business as a service business where we do that, we might sell some products. There are other industries that have gone outside of their core business to actually add more revenue to their business. Walgreens now are opening financial services, banks within some Walgreens. Capital One have cafes.
Mm-hmm.
So we're working with a lot of salon owners to create more higher ticket items, average ticket. One is having a champagne bar. That's collaborating with a local vendor. So in other words, you're not running it, but you're creating more revenue. Your fixed costs don't change, but you're having more revenue, so you're creating bigger margin. One, we're doing a cafe. Now, of course, you have to have the square footage, and you have to have the, not necessarily a destination, you have to have high street, but you can repurpose that space to have additional retail other than wet product.
Yeah.
Why are we just selling shampoo?
I'm sold on the revenue opportunities and repurposing and changing the role. What I'm still not hearing maybe is there's ways to actually save money out. Seems like it's all money in type suggestions. I think, unless I'm missing something.
Well, I would say that that offsets the pendulum,
Yeah.
money coming in and money going out. So if you've got more coming in percentage of what's going out, it's playing with those variables that makes it shift. I don't think that means that you pay a person less to do something because they're not standing at a desk, is where I think I'm hearing you want to try to go. But I don't think that I see that as the purpose. I would throw it to Leon and see what he would say.
I agree. To me, it's not about money going out, it's create a bigger margin.
Well, if
sales are flattery, profit, sanity. So if you're not changing your bottom line, but you're increasing your sales, you're giving a bigger margin.
If Robert Crumans posts something, labor cost, I can't afford a front desk person on a $2,500 a day self check. That's part of what I know the mindsets of a lot of the owners are. And is it more about the team filling some of these functions? So, other members of the team?
I would say definitely. We actually on Clubhouse this morning, the topic came up, if you're going to create a space that doesn't have the desk, how would that work people wise? And one of the topics was, well, when we're hiring out of school, which we do, what if you're hiring these students when they start school? And if you're hiring these students when they start school, what greater way to give them an introduction into the business, but to tell them and share with them that you've got a position that's specifically detailed for them, to groom them of what it's like to own a salon, run a salon, be that first person that the client meets when they come in, and really be that hair traffic controller that connects with the entire team. They're the glue. They really are the most important person, and really coaching them on how to do that piece. So that's the first place that I would look is, what are we sharing with our grassroots when they're growing up? Because I did see on your poll that you had that one of the biggest concerns in our industry is having people to hire, and there's less people in schools. Well, one of the reasons there's less people in schools is because schools are becoming more particular about who they have as students, because if they get somebody that isn't going to go through the program, it hurts their business. So that is a factor in one of the reasons that schools are not having as many students going in. However, the schools that I have talked to are overloaded with students wanting to get in. So I think it's a matter of getting them out, getting them tested, getting them in our businesses sooner.
Awesome. Great conversation, you guys. And you don't have to sell me on the customer experience and the importance of that position. I hear this all the time, look at a P&L and how do we use the desk, not only bring in revenue, but also how it can help us. It's a low profit margin industry. This is a razor thin margins. Let's get on to another topic here that you guys know a lot more than I do about, and this whole Amazon Salon deal here. And Rowena, I was talking to you about it, and Leon. So bring us up to speed. What's up with Amazon going into salons?
Fantastic. Yeah. So, when I first heard about it, of course, you start getting texts, you start seeing it pop up on Facebook and other social media platforms of, oh my gosh, Amazon opened a salon. Why? What's going on? And of course, you start hearing things banter back and forth. And my first thought always is seek to understand before seeking to be understood. So I wanted to know the why. So what I did was I read the article, I found her name, found her, the woman that is managing and helping run the salon. I found her on Instagram and I messaged her, and she messaged me back fairly quickly, and I connected with her. But I would say that Leon has connected with her way more than I have, and he has way more knowledge about that part. So I would rather have him share on that than me, and then we take up each other's space. So Leon, I'm gonna throw it to you.
Go for it, Leon.
So a couple of things. One, when it was first launched, like Rowena, I wanted to find out the inside of it. I knew that it was happening before it happened, but I also contacted someone I knew who was the architect who designed the space. And where is it,
by the way?
Brian Lewis is the architect who designed the Amazon Salon in London.
Oh, so the Amazon Salon we're talking about is in the UK, right?
It is. It's in London.
All right. Yep.
And exactly the location.
There's only one.
Yeah, there is only one. And they launched initially with their staff, the Amazon staff, but on Friday, it opened to the public. So, you know, we're going to get a different feedback. So I, like Rowena, I've been going there and back, finding out what was happening. I'm quite excited by this because I think it's a jolt in the industry. Let me just tell you what I know about Amazon's objectives and wishes. They have no intention of opening salons. There's no money in it for them. What they want to do is they want your database. So they want to connect. They want to do this as a beta test and then connect with salon owners in cities around, primary cities around, I'm making this up because I don't know where they're going to be, Chicago, New York, Toronto, where they can connect with a salon owner and have that salon run it, and all of the products and all of the technology is run by Amazon.
Wow.
They want your database. They're also intending to have their private label products. So at the moment, there's a professional line, but they're going to be having Amazon hair care, shampoo, conditioner style, fabricated by a known manufacturer for them. So it's private label.
Okay. So am I the only one raising my eyebrows? I'm having like an eyebrow raise moment. That is mind-boggling. Hey, Michelle, pull up the poll. We have a poll about Amazon and the desk, I think. So these guys can do the poll while we continue our chat. Tell me more, Leon. This is really fascinating. Because listen, I've done a little bit of research and reading on this myself, but you like to get behind the scenes. Both you guys, you just kind of go for it. I love that. So
the key is that the actual technology, they've got augmented reality, which means instead of choosing color from a swatch, you are superimposed into a monitor. Your avatar is scanned, and you can choose thousands of colors and see what it looks like before you have color. That's one technology. The other is point and see retail. Just by pointing it, no friction, you don't touch the product, you point and see, and there's QR codes which will direct you to your account, and you can order it and get it shipped to your home. The other thing, everyone gets a Samsung, it's not an iPad, but it's a Samsung version of an iPad while they're in there, and then their profiles are updated in real time. This is the most important thing that I found out. Over the next 2 years, there's going to be a labor shortage, not just in our industry, but across the board. There were 7 times the applicants to work at that store because it's a cool place to work. It's designed great, it's got great technology. And would you want to work in Apple or say Target? There's a retailer. It's the same in a salon. If it's beautifully designed and they've got all this technology, that bodes well for consumers, because consumers will want to go to these locations. And so when they actually open in a town like Chicago or New York, and they have this connection with a salon owner, it's going to actually raise the standards because they're going to be pioneers in that city. They'll attract the best staff and they'll have the best technology. So I think it's a great wake-up call for our industry, because technology on its own is not the future. It's touch and tech. We're fortunate you're going to require touch, but technology can only be there if it enhances the experience of the consumer, if it benefits the service provider, and if it benefits the business. If it doesn't do those 3 things, we shouldn't have it, but it does. It will enhance it because the consumer's getting these experiences outside of the industry, and it's the same consumer that goes to Apple and Starbucks that comes into our salons.
yeah, I think Michelle from our team just said tech and touch, tech and touch. We should do, and let's go through the poll here. I love that touch and tech, or tech and touch, whatever we call it. So let's look at the poll here. So about half of you are saying you've got the same desk hours. A third of you are saying that less hours. Then as far as technology goes, half of you said that technology has not lessened the need for desk hours. And then a quarter of you feel the Amazon model is a threat, but about 3/4 of you say you don't see it as a threat. So, wow. Okay. Rowena, back to this whole Amazon thing. Amazon thing has maybe even a little more relevance than I realized. What's your take on it in terms of what it looks like for, people that are on the session with us? They're out there, hardworking salon owners and managers. What are things that they can maybe repurpose that's not super theoretical, but like real tangible?
So there's kind of two questions there. The first one I would say is that, like Leon said, the biggest thing we can do is to always be aware of what is happening. We can't shift in any situation unless we're aware of what's already occurring and what's already going on, and then use our best predictions of how we as an industry can A, be more professional, and B, service our clients better. I mean, we are hairdressers. We are in this business for a reason. We understand how salons work, how spas work, what we're doing and where we're going. So I think that first and foremost is the most important thing. I think the other piece is, that whole repurposing of what we're doing. When we came back from the pandemic, my friend Jen, she was in the process of going deskless when the pandemic hit. She thought, all right, I don't really need my front desk. How can I open more lean? And so she said, I'm just going to train my assistants to do what they need to do. She went completely deskless on her opening. And what she did was, she had thousands of calls to make, just like all of us, who people were waiting on the schedule to get rebooked. And she sent out a brilliant email. And her email basically said, all right, for those of you that want to have priority booking, here's a link to our online booking. If you want to have priority booking, you go schedule your appointment. 90% of the people that she had to call and rebooked that way. So she wasn't spending time on her phone calling and rebooking like the rest of us were. And so I think that it's just, she set that up that way. So now all of her clients do that. The phone rings less. So if your phone's ringing less, and I know my phone's ringing less the more we book online, I think those little things are shifts that we can make, making sure we've captured credit cards, because we can't do a lot of these things without having that credit card capture in order to move to that next step. So there has to be stages of what's next. You can't just all of a sudden go tomorrow. Well, I guess you could go tomorrow and say, okay, we're going deskless, and just go for it. But I do feel, for me anyway, that there's a planning piece that's going into it, and I'm in that process versus having it already done. And I'm kind of following the lead and researching through Clubhouse, researching through other salon owners. There's a salon owner in the UK. His name is Matt. And he has 8 years. He's not had a desk. And now he's in the process, which I'm trying to wrap my head around, of going phoneless, because he's no longer going to have a phone as well.
Yeah. Guys, this is awesome. I love talking to both of you, and we've got some comments here. Roman, it's good to see you with us today here. Amazon's not a luxury brand. I cannot see someone saying I do my hair at Amazon.
Can I respond?
Candace, come off. Put your mic on, Candace, if Forrest isn't in the car with you, and tell us how you cut your desk hours in half. Okay, just start speaking, Candace, when you can. What else do we got here?
Oh, hi, Tom. Sorry, my connection got bad for a second. Can you ask what you were asking again?
Yeah, good morning. Are
Good
you
morning.
with Forrest? Did you drop him off at school yet, or are you done with that?
He's already dropped off. I forgot his backpack again, so you guys didn't have to hear that this time.
I don't want to take away from Leon and Rowena because they've got awesome stuff here, but you put a comment in there, cut our desk hours in half. It was an adjustment, but it works once you get the groove of it. Tell us about it.
Yep. Yeah, so we're open 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. when we used to staff the desk the entire time. And we had multiple people working the desk at one time. And now we have one person from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And the stylists open and close on their own, and they're totally fine. And probably about 75% of our bookings online. We didn't offer online booking before the COVID closure. And just like someone was just saying, we did all of our rebooking through online, and it just made our customers get into a new habit.
Awesome. All right, Candace, thanks for coming on the mic here. All right.
Tom, Can I
Yes.
respond to Roman's question here? Because I
Yeah,
don't
please
want
do.
to have the
This
wrong.
one was about someone working.
Amazon is not a luxury brand. I cannot see someone saying I do my hair at home. And he's right. It's not an Amazon salon. It's a Rowena salon powered by Amazon. So that is the primary objective. So Rowena still runs her salon, owns her salon, but it's powered by that. So the consumer would say, I'm going to Rowena's salon. I'm going to get the highest level of service, the highest level of experience in hair, but it's going to be powered by Amazon. They're not interested in running salons. No one's saying I'm going to go to Amazon and get my hair cut.
That's
They
a
go
really
to Rowena salon to get their hair cut. So that's an important facet. The other thing with artificial intelligence, I mean, that salons in Europe now, some of them have all the phones answered by artificial intelligence. That books it, that takes the phones away from the desk. So it allows that more personal experience. And if you're going to introduce this or deskless, it must be part of begin with the end in mind vision of where you're going. This is a component on that road towards that vision.
Yeah.
So you're not going to say, okay, I've seen the light, I'm going to change everything. No, this is your vision. This is your strategic blueprint. This is where you're going. These are your initiatives and your strategies to get you from here to here. And whatever level of time it takes to get there, you keep on track with that vision.
Yeah. Jennifer Parker from Aura just said, fun fact, 60% of online appointments are booked outside of salon business hours. That's when I book mine. I'm up early in the morning looking at my calendar. All right, you guys, I could talk to you guys all day, and we have more subjects to cover, okay? I want to get to this one quick. So tell me about mirrors. And Leon corrected me. I referred it to like an AI mirror, and he said, no, Tom, it's a smart mirror. That's why I need smart people like you guys to keep me online here. So who wants to address what a smart mirror is?
I'll probably do that because I'm working with a company now that's designing that program for our industry for styling stations. A smart mirror has multiple functions. It can superimpose your image onto that mirror. It can load the database of products. It can connect voice activated. It can show a 360-degree area of your whole head without showing the back mirror. It has your profile loaded and it has the color that you have superimposed there. So it's the future. It's a personalized experience. And we talked at the beginning of elevating from a generic experience to a personalized experience. To me, that's the future.
All right, who is hearing about these for the first time? These smart mirrors.
Great question.
Put in the chat. How many of you know about this? Let's get some chat going. And we got some people raising their hands. Some have. A lot of people are hearing about this the first time. Yeah. All right. So I'm sitting in the chair. All right, and I see my face projected, and stylist is behind me. But here's the question I want to ask: is when will this become financially doable? Leon, this is probably one for you. When will the technology and the price to make this be something that's actually something that people on this call should consider?
So let me be very clear. A lot of these innovations won't change the whole industry. It will change some pioneers in the industry that'll do that. It's like anything, there'll be people that will do it, people that get it that won't do it, and people that don't want to do it. But I'm going to focus on one of that. At the moment, it's not there just to superimpose your image. Rowena mentioned something that we lose retail sales by the consumer getting up from the chair and walking to the retail area, and the stylist continue with the hair. The stylist, when they're finished, will, by voice activation, bring up the products they use on the consumer. The consumer, by voice activation, will talk to the monitor or built-in smart mirror and order those products from the chair and get shipped to their home. 94% of all products, professional products in our industry, is not sold in salons, which is really an epiphany You know,
Say that one more time, just the fact, just the stat.
94% of all professional hair products are not sold by salons. They're sold either online or by a retail store.
All right,
So-
this is a new stat to me. Leon, let me mention something for a moment. Back to my question about the technology. When will smart mirrors be something that is pragmatic and approachable for the average salon owner? When will the technology be ready? Let's say it's ready, but when will it be at a price point that's affordable?
The technology is ready now.
Do you know any that actually have this in their salons?
Japan has a number of salons. Germany are bringing out their version of it through a company. So that technology is out. Anything that we see that's designed on technology now has been designed many years ago.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
how it will be affordable, I think this is going to be in partnership with a manufacturer who would sponsor that.
Yeah.
Because their products are going to be in that salon. So I think that's the way it's going to be affordable. The cost of integrating into a styling station is negligible.
Yeah.
The hardware is negligible. It's the software that's loaded, and that will be sponsored by a manufacturer.
All right, I'm going to get to Rowena next here, but just quick, what's your reference for the stat that you gave us there?
Green Book, the Green Book. The Green Book does statistics on.
Wait, has the Green Book recently done an issue?
No, it's 2019.
Okay.
This information is 2019, which is even more frightening because the last laggers who never bought online had to buy online the last year. So
okay.
that definitely won't have gone down.
Okay, so this is great because I didn't realize the Green Book was still being issued. And so shame on me for not knowing that. They usually do it every other year or something like that?
That's right. It's not actually a book now. It's an online survey done
Okay.
with people.
All right, mental note on the Green Book. Thank you for that. I could talk to you guys all day. Speaking of talking all day, Rowena, back to you. Clubhouse, all right? And you become a little bit of a, I use the word queen of Clubhouse, and you owned it to a degree. I think you used another term, but you're so
Shapeshifter.
Thank you. So I get these notifications that pop up, and it seems like half the times I get a notification, it's Rowena, it's one of you guys. All right.
You created that, by the way, because you're the consumer, just saying, and you don't realize you created it.
Yeah. And so all day long, I'm saying Leon and Rowena are in Clubhouse. How do you guys get anything else done if you're in Clubhouse all the time?
So here's the question that I would throw out to anybody in the audience that thinks that and kind of goes in that direction is, how often do you sit and listen to music? How often do you sit and listen to a podcast while you're doing other things? So just because my name pops up doesn't always mean that I am solely dedicated to being on Clubhouse. And in that realm, when I do my Clubhouse in the morning with my friend Jen and Tracy and Leon and Randy and Linda, and we've got all kinds of people that are jumping in it.
By the way, yes.
Yeah. So when we start that in the morning, it runs usually between about 8:30 and sometimes as late as 10 o'clock, depending on how hot the subject is. And while that's happening, I am doing my makeup. I am blow drying my hair. I'm texting my friends behind me. I'm blow drying my hair right now. You got to take over on the mic. So there's a lot that happens that you may not realize. So, and we have had Francesca on our show, and she's even said, okay, I'm going to take my shower now and I'll be right back. And so she goes, she takes her shower and she comes back. So, it's not that this is different. You've got a captive audience. I can't go do things right now, even if they pop in my head and I want to go do them. But if I'm on Clubhouse, I can take my dog out. I can feed my dogs. I can do a ton of things while I'm doing it. So it's not a sole 100% focus all the time. There are times that it is, but not all the time. So if you see me pop up during the day, guarantee you it's not being a dedicated position of time unless I scheduled the room. So that's my take on it. I have used it as a wealth of knowledge, not only within our industry, but also outside of our industry. And I know Leon and I both do the same thing. We've got a couple people that we follow, Coach Les, who is a brilliant Christian man that shares a lot of inner soulful pick you up for the day kind of things. And he has great topics about mindset and thought process. And when we want to have a mind shift, the reality is this: we have to do something differently. We can't just write an affirmation on our mirror and expect it to happen. You have to change something that you're doing, because once you change your doing piece and your actual action, then what happens is it shifts your thoughts. And when it shifts your thoughts, then it becomes a habit. And once it becomes a habit, then it shifts and change your beliefs. And there's a lot of times I think that we think that process is reversed, that if we could just change the way we believe, everything else would fall in place. And that's not the case. So Clubhouse, great place to research in any direction: domains, Bitcoin, websites, social media. I mean, there's so many gambits of directions that I've gained knowledge in that it's very valuable.
I love the idea about the affirmation in the mirror. Maybe that's another use of a smart mirror, is you say your affirmation and poof, it just happens.
So that I meant to say this on my smart mirror. One of the reasons my research started in that way is because my salon is called Studio Wish. So I'm in the process of looking for that mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all, so that when my client walks up to that mirror, it's going to have a positive affirmation for them. So that I've actually think I've found one. Not Amazon, IKEA had one back 2014, 2015. That's how long ago they've had one. And that's where I first found it, was looking it up and researching it, and then connecting with Leon about, okay, tell me more about these smart mirrors.
So Michelle, why don't you pull up the poll about Clubhouse? I'm curious because Clubhouse, get notifications all the time for something that's new as it relates to breaking down walls, social media or something like this. And Clubhouse is one that just emerged and just took off. And so let's see here. So several people here are not even on Clubhouse, and a few are there on all the time. So, the mind shift that I got from Rowena is that I could actually do it, and I wouldn't wear this. I wouldn't do this. I would just be sitting in my back deck, looking outside at my Minnesota green backyard and just hanging out. I kind of like the visual piece, but I also see the power of Clubhouse. I had some great sessions with Robert Cromians. It was awesome. Robert is on there like you guys. And so I commend you guys, because I think you're really bringing great conversation in Clubhouse. Leon, so you're also on Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Here we have.
I concur with Rowena. Here's a vitally important bit of information. What we have in this kind of forum you're doing in Qnity is to share best practices of our industry from the best people. And what you're doing, Tom, is you're part of this thought-provoking thing to support the industry to the highest level. We should also look to the best practices outside the industry and keep that and add that. So I go to Clubhouse and I go out of Clubhouse, I go to different venues to find out, what's Walt Disney doing? What's Apple doing? What's technology doing? What are retailers doing outside? What's service providers doing? And just take the best practices of what you and other people, leaders in our industry are giving, and add the best practices of what leaders are doing outside of the industry. And it's an amalgam of a vision that creates a strategic blueprint for the future of our industry.
Yeah, we've talked about this in some previous roundtables. We've had guests from outside the industry, fitness and other industries. And then 2 to 10, we brought in hotels, dental clinics, restaurants, and I'm sold on that. I just really hadn't connected the dot. Well, yeah, certainly if I look at the different Clubhouse things going on, there's a variety of different industries and conversations. And I'm looking at some of the dialogue here. Aaron was listening to Sam Bricata one day, who was speaking from his bed and said he needed to fall asleep. So, you know what, maybe I just, I love this. So Rowena, you're gonna get me a little more involved in that. Robert Cromians, I just popped in on a Sunday. I was in the middle of doing something. He dragged me into the speaker room and we were on for an hour and a half. And,
Robert and I did the same thing probably about 2 or 3 months ago. I opened up a room with I don't really think I had much of a topic on it. And all of a sudden he pops in and the two of us did a room together. And it was really kind of cool. I think for so long we've been masked. We haven't had a voice. We've been texting. And I think the reality is that we have a voice again, and that it's really empowering to be able to share knowledge, but to just sit and listen. I like throwing out the questions and just listening versus being the person that's speaking. And I think that's the beautiful part about being a moderator, is that as a moderator, I believe that our job is to help other people shine and help other people have a voice and really encourage them to speak and bring them up and creating a safe space. And because a lot of times people are sharing things that are very vulnerable that are going on in their life and looking for help and looking for answers. So,
all right, Rowena, that is a great, great way to us to end. I'm just looking at the clock here, and I think you guys are going to join me in a little over an hour because we're going to bring this to the school roundtable. I think you guys are awesome. I'm pleased to formally present to you your membership in terms of the Brain Trust, an award with, because you had many. Guys, what were some of the light bulb moments today? Put them in the chat, okay? Anyway, the $1 million idea light bulb. So welcome to the Brain Trust. Let's everybody give these guys a virtual round of applause. Thanks for my questions and the volleying back and forth. You guys are great. Love both of you. We'll see you in Clubhouse. We need to invite you back. How many of you guys want these guys to come back? Should they be repeat recipients of the $1 million light bulb? Let us know. All right, so Rowena, thank you so much. Leon, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys, okay?
thank you for hosting and thank you for having us. It's great to see everybody.
All right, let's see what we got here. Do we have any announcements or anything like that? I think we did all the polls here. Grow or go, there's some stuff going on in the world of transition planning that I was going to share with you. We'll get to that next week. Actually, whoa. We are not on next week. Thank you. Whoops, I got to pause right here. All right, heads up, guys, schedule. So we are taking next week off because it's Memorial Day and Monday's a holiday. And the other thing we're going to do is we'll continue to meet every Wednesday, except for once a month. We're going to take a break, and they generally fall around a holiday. So Michelle will publish the schedule. We've got to schedule all through the end of September. We're always looking for great guests. Send me an email, send us a nudge, someone you'd like to hear from. So again, schedule, we are not on next week, first week of June, but we're on the week after that. We got some great guests coming up. Let me just see what else we might have here that's really important. Oh, here's what it was about succession planning. I had a chuckle. There's actually an HBO series on succession planning, and this is the world. It's sort of an exaggerated reality, but the world of succession planning in many cases is a very difficult thing to navigate as it relates to relationships. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in a future future episode. I guess we can call this an episode, guys. 2 to 10. We are behind the scenes organizing our survey and the data. Super excited about that coming up. Qnity in action. We've got some great coaches, Carrie, Heath, Jody, as well as Candice Gliata. If you want to book a coaching session today, you can use the QR code, and you can get a session where you can go through what we call our 5 gaps. We do have a school roundtable coming up. It is coming up. I've got a quick break here, and then we're going to do it for schools. We've got a different guest, as well as we're going to have Rowena and Leon joining us for a little bit on that. Closing thoughts. I think my closing thoughts are, I'm very appreciative of Leon and Rowena. I've also loved the chat today. And closing thoughts are, have a great Memorial Day weekend. You know, enjoy something outdoors, I hope. Take good care of yourself. Smell the roses, sit outside like Rowena. I know it's a full moon, so hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you next time around, okay? Thanks again for joining us today. All right, bye everybody.